What happens when the world's largest economy pulls the trigger on a massive tariff wave? Not just outward, but inward, targeting the very backbone of its own domestic growth. The result may be far more destabilizing than Washington anticipates. Welcome to TVAI, your source for smart, sharp international insights. Today, we dive into the lesser-told story of how Donald Trump's sweeping new tariff plan, unveiled in a dramatic press conference complete with a now-viral color-coded chart, could boomerang right back onto American workers, farmers, and businesses. While global headlines swirl around international reactions and foreign retaliation, a quieter storm brews at home. From Detroit's assembly lines to the vast soybean fields of the Midwest, industries across the United States are bracing for impact. Not from foreign rivals, but from their own government's economic policies. Take, for instance, the U.S. auto sector. Trump's proposed 30% tariff on imported auto parts from countries like Mexico, Germany, and South Korea threatens to significantly increase production costs for American-made vehicles. Ford and General Motors, both heavily reliant on cross-border supply chains, have already issued warnings. In a statement from GM headquarters in Detroit, the proposed tariffs could add an average of $1,800 to the price of every new vehicle assembled in the U.S. Auto workers, many of whom voted for Trump in 2016 and 2020, are now grappling with an unexpected reality. The policies meant to protect their jobs may endanger them instead. Layoffs loom, and industry analysts predict a potential slowdown in domestic vehicle production by 8 to 10% in the next fiscal year. Agriculture tells a similarly troubling story. American farmers, particularly those in red states like Iowa, Kansas, and Nebraska, are facing what some call a second trade war. With retaliatory tariffs already promised by China, India, and Brazil, staple exports like soybeans, corn, and pork could lose access to vital markets. "We've worked hard to build trade relationships overseas," said Doug Lammers, a fifth-generation corn farmer in Iowa. "Now we're seeing those bridges go up in flames." The American Farm Bureau Federation has sounded the alarm, projecting losses of over $9 billion if current retaliatory threats are enacted. Subsidies and relief packages may cushion the blow temporarily, but the long-term viability of many mid-sized farms is now at risk. Small businesses also stand to lose. From retailers who rely on inexpensive imported textiles, to tech startups that assemble electronics using Asian-made components, Trump's tariffs could erode competitiveness and force price hikes. In Silicon Valley, venture capitalists are already advising startups to shift production strategies or prepare for higher burn rates. The ripple effects extend beyond the economic to the political. Republican lawmakers in traditionally conservative states are beginning to question the tariff's wisdom. Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, a longtime Trump ally, expressed concern over the potential blowback. "There's a fine line between fair trade and self-inflicted damage. We need to make sure we're not punishing our own people." Even within Trump's own base, fissures are emerging. Union workers in Michigan and Ohio have voiced frustration, feeling blindsided by the scope of the plan. At a recent town hall in Youngstown, an auto union representative remarked, "We're not against standing up to China. But not like this. Not if it means we lose our jobs while Beijing shrugs it off." Meanwhile, Democrats are seizing the opportunity to frame the tariffs as reckless and anti-worker. Senator Elizabeth Warren called the plan a blunt instrument wielded without strategy, while President Biden's administration remains cautiously critical, suggesting Trump's approach could undermine years of slow progress in stabilizing supply chains. Economists warn of long-term inflationary pressures. By driving up the cost of imported goods and components, the tariffs could add to existing price volatility in sectors already battered by supply chain disruptions and labor shortages. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that if fully enacted, the tariffs could increase consumer prices by 1.2% across the board. There's also the question of timing. With the global economy on shaky footing due to post-pandemic recovery and regional conflicts, many argue this is the worst possible moment to introduce widespread trade barriers. Some in the business community view the move as part of Trump's political calculus rather than sound policy. It plays well at rallies, noted one anonymous Fortune 500 CEO. But on Wall Street and Main Street? It's a disaster in the making. At the heart of the issue lies a fundamental debate. Should the U.S. pursue aggressive self-reliance at the expense of short-term economic pain, or should it embrace a more collaborative, multilateral approach to trade? For now, that question remains unanswered. But what's increasingly clear is that Trump's tariff plan isn't just shaking up foreign capitals. It's rattling the American heartland too. In towns and cities from coast to coast, business owners, farmers, factory workers, and families are bracing for the next chapter in what may become the defining economic gamble of the decade. And there's one more layer to the story. The consumer. Across grocery store aisles, electronics retailers, and online shops, Americans are already beginning to see price tags creep upward. The impact may seem subtle at first, $1 more here, a slight markup there. But over time, these increases can significantly burden middle and lower-income households. Retail industry leaders have warned that back-to-school shopping and the upcoming holiday season may be hit especially hard. The National Retail Federation released a statement saying, "Parents may have to cut back this year, and retailers will have to work harder to keep prices attractive amid rising wholesale costs." Healthcare is also not immune. Several US-based medical device manufacturers rely on specialized components from Europe and Asia. With tariffs raising the cost of these parts, some hospitals could see procurement costs jump, forcing them to either raise service fees or delay equipment upgrades. Meanwhile, economists continue to sound caution. Former Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen, in a recent interview, noted, "Tariffs are not a cost-free tool. Their impact is often underestimated, especially on consumer behavior and inflation expectations." In short, while Trump's tariff chart may seem like a bold geopolitical chess move, it's also triggering a domino effect within American households, industries, and political discourse. Stay with TVAI as we continue to track not just the international fallout, but the domestic reckoning. Subscribe now, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the stories that matter most.